Hello, my name is Peter Williams. We'll be doing this briefing today for the Epiphany School of Global Studies. The reason why we do these are, as you've been to the ones in the past, we used to do those on a tech night before school started or immediately after it started. The idea behind this was we were required to do this for qualifications for ERATE. What is ERATE? ERATE is government funding to programs and directed under the FTC. ERATE requires us to have this discussion about our acceptable use policy, in addition to acknowledging and have you acknowledge that you've heard and viewed these contents. What does that mean for schools? Potentially pay back for some of our technology expenses. The acceptable use policy is part of the school handbook, in addition to something that you will be asked to view and read when we send out the family and student information forms. The acceptable use policy basically wants us to clarify for you that there is no expectation of privacy. If you're on our internet or access to the internet through the school, you should not feel a expectation of privacy. What does that mean? For example, if we were to come under investigation from law enforcement, they would have access to our records, and again, there's no expectation of privacy. Where does this come into play? Primarily with things such as cyberbullying. If your student feels threatened in any way or intimidated while on the internet, they should let their teacher know. Worse yet, if somebody at the school perpetuates this and makes someone feel threatened or fearful on the internet, we need to be aware of that immediately. And again, law enforcement may be involved. Students at Epiphany get a school email address for internal use only. It's not for external use. And lastly on this, I know with travel restrictions currently in place, this is probably not an issue, but we hope that that will turn. And when that does, in social media, we ask that you don't advertise where we're going, especially before the event. This kind of information can be used against families and parents, and we don't want that to happen. So it's okay to brag to your friends about what you've done after it happened, but not before then. Part of the student and information form, you will have received, or if not, will soon receive, an invitation to edit this form. We do this every year. Even if your child has been at Epiphany before and no information has changed, we still like you to fill out the form. This way we have accurate contact information, especially in emergency situations. If you did not get that invitation to edit that form, you can get to that form by going into the portal, and in the portal you'll see there's on the far right hand side, a forms. If you open that up, you'll see that there's multiple forms if you have multiple children. A form needs to be filled out for each child that's attending here at Epiphany. Part of the student and information form, you will have received, or if not, will soon receive, an invitation to edit this form. We do this every year. Even if your child has been at Epiphany before and no information has changed, we still like you to fill out the form. This way we have accurate contact information, especially in emergency situations. If you did not get that invitation to edit that form, you can get to that form by going into the portal, and in the portal you'll see there's on the far right hand side, a forms. If you open that up, you'll see that there's multiple forms if you have multiple children. A form needs to be filled out for each child that's attending here at Epiphany. A couple of housekeeping items. I call it housekeeping for lack of a better word. Do you need to register your portable devices? Students may have a portable device that they bring to school to supplement their classroom instruction. It's not mandatory, but recommended. You can do that on the family and information form. If you missed that or don't have a device and get that later, please just email me this information. I'd like to know the make and the model. And if there's a serial number that's viewable on the underside, that's accessible, send that as well. If that device is lost and misplaced, we're able to determine who the owner is. I often get questions about content on Epiphany, internet access. Is it filtered? We actually upgraded our filter this summer. There was some concern about some things that may have gotten through before, and now content and pictures are filtered. If a child is on the internet and does a search for something and something doesn't appear to be right, or a what they desire search is returned, then let their teacher know, and encourage them to let teachers know, and they'll let me know, or you can reach out to me directly, and we can determine what may have happened. I used to build security for large corporations in the business world, and it always amazed me that I could spend literally millions of dollars on security, but if somebody opened the back door, then it defeated all of that. So I'd like each of us to think of themselves as part of the security team. We're all connected via the internet, and hence we don't want to create exposure for ourselves or for anybody else at the school. So I ask that you do the following. Please have current antivirus software running on your device. Update those. The way antivirus works is it uses definitions of known malware, and if you don't update those definitions, then your antivirus is basically worthless. Other thing I ask is you update the iOS or the software, your OS as well. There's a reason why patches are released, and it's usually to fix known vulnerabilities or bugs. Please update your OSs and software. I'd like you to be able to recognize phishing attempts. I'll show you an example here shortly. And last but not least, use different passwords for your accounts and change those passwords on a frequent basis. It's amazing. I know life gets technically challenged when we have all these different accounts to log into with usernames. If you don't use the same password, then you limit your exposure. This is an example of a phishing attack. Phishing with PH instead of F. I know we'd like to be phishing, but this is a different type of phishing. I received this email. It looked legit. It even says in the top left there that this is from a trusted sender. That makes me feel better, right? But even though it looked legitimate from FedEx, FedEx would never send me an invitation to update my personal information. Reputable businesses would not ask you to do the same. If I were to place my mouse and the little arrow for my cursor over the blue button, it would show you that the URL and where it's actually going is not FedEx.com. If you were expecting a package, go to the delivery information itself to confirm your address. So avoid clicking on "this is a phishing attack." You might have heard of watering holes or water holes. Watering holes are where people will actually design an entire website with the intent they know that person that they're trying to compromise will more than likely go to their website and select a link in there. So again, use caution. If you're not expecting it, chances are it's not legit. And another place that we find ourselves frequently vulnerable, and you hear about these hacks all the time in the news. is somebody selects a link, and that link has embedded malware into it. If you're not expecting that, or if in this case there's no additional information, but if it was from one of my friends, it would have had an explanation and some other content that would make me feel that was more legitimate. I generally do not click on links in email unless it's from a trusted source and I'm expecting it. In this case, it looked like a harmless YouTube video, but it actually had malware associated with the link and would compromise my system. I know this is a crash course and this is a quick summary, but these are some of the things that we want to address as far as security concerns, and also as we talk about the acceptable use policy. If you have questions on that or any of the content in this video, please reach out to me directly. My email address is provided, and I hope that you have a good day, and we look forward to seeing you here in the fall.